to Module 1, Lesson 17. I'm Mrs. Gradney, and today we'll be solving additive compare word problems, and we'll be modeling them with tape diagrams. Let's get started. We're going to use the problem set throughout our lesson today, so make sure you have it in front of you. And since we'll be solving word problems, we'll be using the read, draw, write, or RDW process to help us make sense of the problems. Our directions tell us, draw a tape diagram to represent each problem, use numbers to solve, and write your answer as a statement. So basically, RDW. So we'll be doing all of those things with each of our problems today. Let's look at problem 1 and we'll read it together. But remember, while we read, I really want you to try to picture what's happening in your mind. Ready? Read. Sean's school raised $32,587. Leslie's school raised $18,749. How much more money did Sean's school raise? Now pause the video and draw a tape diagram to represent the story. Remember to use labels and label the unknown using a variable. Don't solve it yet, just draw your tape diagram. And when you get back, we'll compare. Welcome back. Here's the tape diagram I drew. Does yours look similar? Let's analyze the tape diagram now to see how it matches the story. Which school raised more money? And how can we tell just by looking at the tape diagram? Hopefully you notice that Sean's tape is longer than Leslie's tape because Sean's school raised more money than Leslie's school. Now, where in the tape diagram can we see how much more money Sean's school raised? Point to it. Here's the part that represents how much more money Sean's school raised than Leslie's school. I labeled that part, which is our unknown, with a variable M to stand for money. You may have used a different variable, and that's okay. Pause the video now and use numbers to solve the problem, and be sure to write an answer statement. If it's helpful for you as you solve, you can use a place value chart to help you. And don't forget to complete your tape diagram by labeling the value of the variable. Welcome back. Hopefully you found that Sean's school raised $13,838 more than Leslie's school. Now, is this answer reasonable? Pause the video and talk out your thinking. I have a friend over here who is thinking that this answer is reasonable because 32,587 is about 33,000. And 18,749 is close to 20,000. 33,000 minus 20,000 equals 13,000, which is really close to our answer. So yes, this answer is reasonable. Let's look at problem 2 now. Problem 2 is about people attending a parade. Have you ever been to a parade? Let's read problem 2 together, and as we read, try to be picturing what's happening in the problem in your mind. Ready? Read. At a parade, 97,853 people sat in bleachers, and 388,547 people stood along the street. How many fewer people were in the bleachers than standing on the street? Now, pause the video to draw a tape diagram to represent the problem. Remember to use labels and label the unknown using a variable. Don't solve it yet, just draw that tape diagram. And remember, when you come back, you can compare your tape diagram to mine. Take a look at my tape diagram. Is it similar to what you drew? Now let's compare this tape diagram with the tape diagram from the first problem. How are these tape diagrams similar and how are they different? Pause the video to reflect. thing you may have noticed is that the numbers in this problem are larger than the numbers were in the first problem. And in the first problem, we were looking for how much more, and in this problem, we're looking for how many fewer. But in both problems, we were looking for the difference between the first bar and the second bar. So we're looking for that difference. The first bar and the second bar, and we're looking for that difference. So they both show kind of a part-whole relationship. It's like we know one part and the whole, and we're looking for the other part. We know one part and the whole, and we're looking for the other part. So that means we can think about solving them in the same way. So, pause the video now and use numbers to solve the problem. And be sure to write an answer statement. Make sure you complete your tape diagram by labeling the value of the variable and reflect on your answer to make sure that it's reasonable. Did you find there were 290,694 fewer people in the bleachers than standing on the street? How did you know that your answer was reasonable? I bet some of you used rounding to determine that your answer was reasonable. 388,547 is close to 400,000, and 97,853 is close to 100,000. 400,000 minus 100,000 equals 300,000, which is close to our answer. So yes, it is reasonable. Let's look at problem 3 now and read it together. Ready? Read. A pair of hippos weighs 5,201 kilograms together. The female weighs 2,038 kilograms. How much more does the male weigh than the female? Pause the video now and draw a tape diagram to represent the story. Be sure to include labels and use a variable to represent the unknown. Don't solve it yet, just draw that tape diagram, and when you come back, we'll compare. Welcome back. Here are 2 different tape diagrams that you may have drawn. Let's take a moment and compare them and reflect on how useful they each are in helping us to determine how to solve the problem. So I want you to think about how these 2 tape diagrams are the same and how they're different and how they represent the story. I'd like you to pause the video here and talk out your thinking. You may have noticed that both tape diagrams show both hippos and the total combined weight of both, 5,201 kilograms. In this first tape diagram, the weight of both hippos are shown in a single tape, and the total is shown here at the top. In this tape diagram, I can see a tape that represents the female's weight, and I can see another tape that represents the male hippo's weight. And the total combined weight of both is labeled out to the side with a bracket. Now in this first tape, with both hippos shown in a single tape, it's hard to compare the 2 weights. I can see that the part for the male is a little larger than the part for the female, but I can't really find a spot on this tape to label how much more the male weighs than the female, which is what we're looking for. In this tape, though, I can clearly see and label the part that shows how much more the male weighs than the female. So that makes a double tape diagram more useful in helping me to represent the whole story and to determine how to solve the problem. If you represented the story with this kind of tape diagram, a single tape, it's not wrong, but you might need another tape to finish representing the whole story. So I'm going to cover up this first tape for us because I want us to be thinking in terms of the second tape. Now, if we're looking for how much more the male hippo weighed than the female hippo, what will we need to determine first? First, we'll need to find out how much the male hippo weighed. That's making me think that this problem is going to have more than one step. So pause the video here and solve the problem using numbers and write an answer statement. Be sure to reflect on how reasonable your answer is, and then come back and we'll compare our answers. Did you find that the male weighs 1,125 kilograms more than the female? If you did, way to go. If you didn't, pause the video here, compare your work with mine, and see if you can find your mistake. Now, how do we know that our answer is reasonable? Well, I was thinking that if both hippos together weigh about 5,000 kilograms, and we know the female weighs 2,000 kilograms, that means the male weighs about 3,000 kilograms. And 3,000 kilograms is 1,000 kilograms more than 2,000 kilograms. And that's really close to our answer. So yes, it makes sense. Today, we solved additive compare word problems, and we modeled them using tape diagrams to help us solve. Remember to check in with your teacher, and I'll see you next time for another Eureka Math lesson. Bye!